Hey everyone, it's Zereldo here, and today I'm going to be looking at the latest Treasure Hunter promotion and the rewards that you can get from it and determining whether it's pay to win or not, and then following that, how useful the rewards actually are. Throughout the video, I'm just going to be sitting here disassembling stuff to go with the Invention theme, so feel free to have this in another tab while you just skill or kill or do whatever your heart desires on RuneScape. Don't feel compelled to actually watch the visuals. First things first, I just want to actually look at the prizes itself. You can get a set of tier 70 hybrid armor, so that's all 5 pieces: helmet, body, legs, gloves and boots, as well as one weapon for each of the combat styles. These are level 70 non-degradable. They can be augmented. However, there's a catch. The 3 smaller pieces, the gloves, boots and helmet, have a reclaim cost of 100,000, whereas all augmentable pieces, so that's the body, the legs and the 3 weapons, have a reclaim cost of 2 million. Anyway, so now that you know the prizes, are they pay to win? And I'd say no. The armor largely is not pay to win. This is because of the way Invention works. In order to train Invention, you need to augment items. Now, to make the augmenters, that costs you resources. Then you've got to go and train the items yourself. That takes your time. This promotion is not allowing any shortcuts or quick ways of doing that. You've still got to put in just the same amount of effort. The only thing is that it gives you an easy reclaim option, which is actually 2 million gold a piece. So if you dismantle your chest piece, your legs and your weapon all in one go, that's a 6 million gold reclaim cost. So this isn't cheap by any means. So because it's not actually any easier in terms of cost or any easier in terms of effort, I've got to say that this isn't pay to win, for Invention at least. What this is an alternate way of doing things. However, you can definitely make the argument that the scrolls in a bottle are pay to win. The reason those are pay to win, or potentially pay to win, is because they are experience lamps. Now, they are flooding the Treasure Hunter at the moment. They come in pure XP form. They don't come in a sort of fallen star or fallen meteor or whatever. So it's not bonus experience, it's just experience given directly to you. Not only that, they give 50% extra experience in port skills, and they're prismatic. You can choose what skill they go into. So that gives you 12 skills that you can specifically target and shoot up with your total experience in. And if you aren't 99 yet, or if you're low level, that can skyrocket you quickly towards unlocking adventurers. So if you want a specific armor piece such as Tetsu, you target skills that unlock adventurers that will give that resource. So this pay to win, it can really push you through those things quite quickly. So now that I've covered the sort of base, whether or not it's pay to win or not, I'd like to actually take a closer look at the armor and how useful it is itself. So this part of the video is quite lengthy. After that, I'll probably do a final wrap up on the promotion itself, what was good about it, what was bad, how it could be improved, whether it's worthwhile. Just for some extra sort of useful information, each piece is going to take at maximum 45 treasure keys for you to get. So to get all 8, that's going to cost you 360 treasure keys. Based on current grand exchange values of 12.9 mil per bond, this is going to cost you 309 million gold for the set. Those of you who are aware of other items will know that the parity of Sliske armor is available for about 45 mil on the GE. So if you're wanting hybrid armor to augment, I'd recommend going for that if you're using your in-game gold, or if you're wanting to buy things with your real life money, probably buying bonds and selling it to then get the parity of Sliske armor. The exception is if you really want this armor, because it looks really cool, I'll admit that, then you're going to have to get it through the Treasure Hunter. And don't forget, you will get a lot of experience and other items on the way. You're not just getting this set out of it. It's worth noting that there are other hybrid armors in the game. There is the War Priest, which is level 75, and there are several different versions of this. So you can get that relatively easily and free. There's also the Crystal armor sets, a level 70 and 80 version. These do degrade, but they have special effects which make them worth using. And then there's also the parity of Sliske, which has been previously mentioned from God Wars 2, which can be upgraded as far as level 85 if you have the right items. Now, it's worth comparing the cost of this to the cost of other items. So, it's a 2 mil cost to replace. Looking at the God Wars 1 items, you've got Bandos, Armored Do and Subjugation, and those cost 3.2, 3.2, and 2.6 mil respectively. The leg pieces for Bandos, Armador, and Subjugation cost 1.8, 2.7, and 1.8 mil respectively. Now there's a trend there. All the chest pieces are more expensive to replace than it is to replace this new promotional one. Most of the leg pieces are actually less expensive, and you're better off with those, except for the Armador one, which is 2.7 mil. There's also the Acrosay Barrows set, which costs 3 mil for the robe top and 1.5 mil for the robe bottom. Once again, the robe top, this new promotional set, is cheaper to replace, but the legs are more expensive. Now this actually holds true for most of the Barrows items, with a cost of 2.9 to 3.1 mil for chest pieces, and a cost of 1.3 to 1.7 mil for leg pieces. That's for the melee armor. The mage set, it's 1.9 for the chest piece and 900k for the legs. For the range, it's 2.8 mil for the body piece and 1.9 for the legs. So there's a bit of variance, but the general rule over here is leg pieces, it's better to get the other ones, and the chest pieces, it's better to use the new promotional one, aside from the odd outlier like the mage barrow set. Now, however, it is worth noting that things like Bandos, Armador, and Subjugation, and even the Barrows, do come with specialist components. The Armador and Zamorak components especially being useful, so it's actually worth paying that extra sum for those special components and using those to make some really nice perks later on down the line. This doesn't have any special special components, so be aware of that. Now, those are the armors sort of out of the way. You see there's a bit of a mixed bag here. When it comes to the weapons, there's really no comparison. These weapons all cost 2 million to replace. However, if you were to compare it to Barrow's weapons, these are 100k to 550k. So you compare that to 2 mil. That is, depending on the weapon, between 20 times more expensive to replace, or just under 4 times more expensive to replace. There really is no competition. These weapons are not worth using. Other comparable weapons are crystal weapon seeds, which are also about, or crystal weapons, which are also about 500k. Also, this is 4 times more expensive than using crystal weapons. But what really blows this out of the water is the Sun Spear, because this is a reward from the Rivers of Blood quest. It's Grandmaster. It's a level 80 weapon that can switch between all combat styles, augmentable, disassemblable for invention, but has a 600k reclaim cost. We're talking about a weapon that is better, and therefore because it's higher, the dismantle and siphon cost experience will be much higher, and it costs 600k. So these weapons are about 3 times more expensive than something vastly superior better. Now, you can make the argument that because that is locked behind a Grandmaster quest, that's one of the perks and one of the rewards, but I think even then, these should be a bit cheaper to go with that. So, my recommendation is, if you're going to use these weapons, use them for siphoning, not for dismantling. They are too expensive for that. And I'd recommend using these armor pieces for siphoning, using the set as a sort of more general, perked up set for general use. If you're actually wanting some really nice perks, I'd recommend just buying Bandos, Armador, and Subjugation and siphoning those directly. You're going to get more use out of that, and even if you want to disassemble, it might be more worthwhile because you're going to get the really nice components, especially the Zamorak and Armador components, which make really nice perks for other uses down the line. The good news about all this is that it doesn't actually devalue any of the current items. Those components, as I mentioned before, the specialist components, help these items keep their value. In fact, possibly are most of the value behind the items currently. Some things that would have made this promotion better overall is if the weapon had come much like the Sun Spear as a weapon that you can switch between combat styles rather than 3 separate weapons. Although there are advantages to having 3 separate weapons. You can perk them all up differently and have different things. There might be perks that you're more comfortable with your range setup or your melee setup, and you want that diversity rather than having to have one weapon limited by those perks. So that is a possibility. The other thing is if you do want to stick with the separate weapons. It would be much nicer to choose which weapon you wanted when. All 3 weapons are locked in at the end, which is fair because they're the least useful of the rewards. But if you're a melee user and you want your melee weapon, it's the last thing. So you've got to go through and get the staff and the bow before you can get that. And so allowing people to choose which weapon they wanted most would have gone a long way to making the promotion that much better. It feels like this promotion really doesn't have a target audience. Anyone who's got this kind of expendable, either in-game money or real-life money, is just going to use their bonds or their money to buy a parody of Slisuke's set. There's no need to get this particular level 70 set for augmentation. Likewise, the only people that are really going to need a level 70 set are going to be low-level people who have Invention. And let's be honest, with requirements of 80 divination, 80 crafting, and 80 smithing, you're not really going to get any players at that level with only level 70 combat stats and the inability to get level 80 a year. So this promotion really doesn't have a niche or a group it's aiming for, and I think that's the ultimate shortcoming. It has proved to not be lucrative enough or worthwhile enough for the people who have the money or the gold to go for it. The best thing to do, I think, would be lowering the reclaim cost of the weapons, maybe to 600k. I mean, that would match the Sun Spear. The Sun Spear is obviously better and behind quest content, so I think that would be fair. And it would still be more expensive than any other weapon on the market, but it goes with the set, I guess. As for the armor pieces, I think that's a bit more up for debate. But at the same time, you could justify having these items at a competitive dismantle price because they're not going to be injecting those big components that can make really cool perks like Impatient or Devoted. And at the same time, this is going to be a cash sink taking gold out of the economy, whereas anything traded on the GE is going to allow it to circulate. So those are just some ideas or things worth discussing. I'm not really going to stick hard and fast to them as fact. They're my opinion, they're my thoughts, they're speculation. This hybrid armor doesn't really fill a particular niche. It's there. The level 70 hybrid slots filled. The only thing that it does is provide a non-degrading alternative, and then that's cancelled out once you augment it. For non-degrading hybrid gear, we've actually got War Priest, which is higher and free, or the parody of Slisuke, which is higher and quite expensive, but still around. There's also the fact that perhaps hybrid armor doesn't align with the spirit of Invention. The whole point of Invention is to take your items, to augment them, to give them special uses, and to make them distinct. If you're going for a multi-purpose sort of perk setup, that diminishes that idea of specialization and uniqueness. Now, obviously, that is one of the things you can do with Invention. It's make an all-round sort of armor, and everyone's well within their right to do that. But for a promotion that's trying to encourage us to toy around with that, but I would really recommend not to augment the weapons and just keep them as non-degrading tier 70 weapons for future use. The armor does look awesome, and another thing that would have improved this promotion is if there were overrides of this when you got the equipment. That would have made things a lot better, and I can tell you that looking at this on a 4K monitor, it is a very nice looking set. The only problem is perhaps the augmentation on the chest piece sort of diminishes it and is a bit of an eyesore. The leg piece not so much, and the weapons, it's fine, but just it's bulky and it gets in the way of the otherwise very nice armor. I hope you found that useful and enjoyed the video. If you've got anything you want to say or add or ask, just go ahead and leave it in the comments section and I'll get to you as soon as I can. If you enjoyed this sort of content or discussion, please subscribe because I plan to be doing a lot more of it in the future. Until then, bye.